Hey, good evening, everyone. Welcome to another exciting episode of our Q&A, where Dave and I sit around in our orange chairs and we answer all of the burning questions that you have. And there are a lot of burning questions out there right now because as if you've been with us over the past couple of weeks, you know we're part of a brand new sermon series that's all about change and everything that's coming up. And we have some big changes that are going to be happening right here at Connections. Mm-hmm. And so that is proposing a lot of questions, and we are getting them all. We are hopefully going to answer some of them today, and we know there are going to be more questions out there.
No doubt.
And we encourage you to ask your questions. In fact, here at Connections, we are not afraid of your questions. We encourage your questions. No matter how they come in, we want to answer your questions, and you can always submit your questions at our website, my3c.org. On there, you're going to see a tab that says Ask a Question. Go ahead and click on that and just put in your question. All questions that we get are completely anonymous. We have no idea who asks them. It gives us the opportunity to just straightforward answer the question without any kind of judgment or preconceived notions. Hopefully it frees you up to ask the questions that you need to ask without feeling embarrassment or any type of judgment from us.
Or worrying that when we see you on Sunday, we'll know you ask a question.
That's right. That's right.
I have no idea.
So go ahead and ask your questions. Submit your questions at our website, my3c.org. We would love to hear from you guys. But before we jump into these questions, Dave, how you doing with all of this cold? We've been getting slammed by cold weather and some snow.
Really have. It's been so bizarre this winter-ish season because in November, freezing cold, big dump of snow, right? And then it warmed up and it seemed like over the Christmas holiday, it was like, my grass was greener then than it was in July. I mean, it was amazing. And now, boom, temperature drops, snow. I fear this is what happened to me because normally I don't mind the snow and the cold. I lived in it most all my life, and it's cool. I like change of seasons. But that warm patch over the holidays somehow kicked something in me that it's like, spring is right around the corner, even though I knew it wasn't. And so this feels particularly harsh to me.
Well, we are still in January. We have a long time to go until we hit those spring weathers. But it'll come up quick. It always does. It seems like we hit a little bit of a lull. We're about to hit it. It seems like February, even though it's the shortest month, sometimes feels like the longest month.
Longest month, yep.
But as soon as we push through that, before we know it, spring break and then Easter.
Yep, exactly right. March is such a transitional season.
Yeah.
Yep.
And speaking of transitional seasons, that's going to take us into everything that we're going to be talking about tonight. Because, Dave, why don't you do just a real quick recap for everybody of what you announced on Sunday?
Yes.
Because pretty much the majority of our questions are going to focus specifically on that.
Yeah. Yep.
But for anybody who wasn't with us on Sunday, who's joining us just now for our Q&A, give us a little bit of backstory about your ministry and then where you feel God is taking you.
Absolutely. So in a recent answer to a prayer that I have prayed for decades, God, what's next for me? What's next for Connections? And the two have always been tied together in my mind. The answer to this one is it's time for me to transition from lead pastor to founding pastor. So I'm staying right here. I'm going to be pastoring right here, but my role is going to change. As I mentioned on Sunday, I've been a lead pastor. I've had the privilege of being a lead pastor for over 40 years. I've been the lead pastor at Connections for over 25 years. Such blessing in both of those. Next month, I turn 70. And so I believe it's time to make that transition to a new generation of lead pastoring at Connections. But I have so much passion. As like the last thing I am is burned out or like, man, I'm tired. I need a vacation. I'm like, man, I'm still all in. God has graciously given me a healthy body. He's given me a mind that still functions relatively well at this point in my life. So I've got I've got a lot of tread left on the tire. I've got a lot of energy, stores that are still there, and I want to make a significant contribution. However, I believe that it's transition time. So we kind of outlined on Sunday what the founding pastor role would look like, because it's a little unusual. It's actually a growing phenomenon amongst evangelical churches for people who have been a long tenured pastor in a church. That church has undergone significant transformation during that time. For that person to stay even while a new lead pastor comes. And the normal title that is given in that scenario is founding pastor. And so I outlined what that would mean, what my roles are, my excitement for it. I'm going to be able to spend the bulk of my time doing the things that I enjoy most and I think I'm best at, so I can make the best contributions, as we move forward. But that will be a change for me, and in turn, that means it'll be a change for Connections as well.
Yeah, we're going to dig deeper into a lot of those things for you, because there's a lot of questions that are going to really help spell that out and really flesh that out for everybody. But can we just acknowledge right up front that this is not a reactionary decision?
Yes, we can.
So this is not something where an event or something occurred and now we're making a radical shift spontaneously. This is something
correct.
That's been in play for a while.
It has been. I would say probably, well, I know this much. It was before COVID when I began seriously thinking in terms of transition and what that would look like and how that should be done and what would serve the people of Connections best in that process. And then as I thought about it and prayed about it and did research into it, then I brought the board of elders involved into the process. And for several years, we've been talking about it. So the last thing this is some knee-jerk reaction. It's not like something surfaced and, oh my gosh, we need to do this. Nothing like this. This has been a slow build where we've had time to think and pray and plan and study and research to try to do it in a way that was both healthy and life-giving to the church.
Yeah. Yep. All right, Dave, we're going to jump into some of these questions that people have about this, because anytime people hear change, especially something that's been so consistent for so long, right? You have been in this seat here at Connections for 25 plus years. And anytime you rock the boat even slightly, people get very, very nervous.
Yeah.
So let's talk through some of these questions.
Cool.
And also talk about some of the other exciting things that are coming up in the future, because this is not just an isolated event without other changes that are happening.
That's exactly right. Yep.
So we're going to jump into that first. So how are we going to pay for an additional full-time staff member while we are trying to raise funds for a building expansion? So let's first let's talk about this additional full-time staff member, how we're going to achieve this, what that staff member is, and then how does that mesh with this aggressive building expansion that we're trying to achieve?
Exactly. So if I'm moving out of the role of lead pastor, somebody has to move into it. And that necessitates there being another person to move in there. So it's like seats need to be filled, right, in what we do. So it is, and what we're going to do this Sunday is we're going to actually lay out the plan. I asked people this week, just process the fact that my role is changing. Next week, we'll lay out the plan. And I reminded everybody, and I want to do so again, nothing is going to happen quickly. There are going to be weeks, there are going to be months before anything will be done, time to process, time to ask questions. So nothing's going to be sprung on people, okay? There will be time, appropriate time taken for all this to play itself out so everybody can feel comfortable with what we're doing and why and all that kind of stuff. So it's like, it is true. We're in the midst of, we began last April a campaign to build a new addition to our building, a new entryway, lobby, fellowship space, cafe, much larger auditorium, which we desperately need. And then to convert our current building into children's ministry space and youth ministry space. This will be a next gen building, right? And so it's a legit question to go, okay, we're attempting to raise money for a tool that we really need. And yet we're going to be needing to hire another full-time staff member. And how is that financially, how's that going to make sense? So totally legit question. So I'm going to go ahead and tackle it. I want to start with big picture stuff because I believe, Steve, it's important for everyone to understand the history and philosophy that guides all of the financial decisions that we make. So let me start with first of all, just with a basic principle that we've always operated by. And that principle is that we will never make a financial move that would obligate us financially beyond our current donation level. We've all heard stories, some that sound miraculous, many that end catastrophically, of churches that are like, we're going to take this bold step by faith, but we believe that God will bless it and will grow and will meet this financial obligation. Never been able to do that. Never had any peace at all. So every major financial decision we've ever made here at Connections has always said, we need to be able to do this based off current donation level with margin. Not even to the edge of what we've got, but with margin. And I believe, Steve, that's one of the reasons why that as attendance has fluctuated, as they always do in churches, when economic downturns have hit, we've been okay. Because we've refused to presume on tomorrow.
Right.
We just refuse to do it. And so that's a principle that we apply to every financial decision. Second, I want to also get the opportunity to reiterate something that I mentioned on Sunday. A week ago Sunday, when I talked about the history of Connections, that back in 2003, which is the first time we talked about building a building. We were meeting in rented facilities, and we had grown to the place like we should build. But as I told the story, we actually arrived at a priority sequence that has guided us ever since. It's people, programs, properties. Connections is about people. Our mission is about people. Our vision is about people. And people always come first. How do we serve people? Second is programs. All a program is a way we organize ourselves to serve people. That's what a program is. It's a collective endeavor to do something that serves and blesses people. And properties, facilities, they are tools in which we can run programs in order to serve people. All too often, the properties become more important than the people. And we're like, that's not going to be us. Properties are tools. When we need a tool, we'll do our best to secure a tool, to better run the programs, to be able to meet the needs of people, fulfilling our mission and our vision in them. So that's always been a priority for us. Let's talk about staffing for a minute, because it would be foolish for us to invest in more property, a building, and not have the staffing we need to care for the people God entrusts to us and successfully run the programs to be able to reach and disciple and build people. I went back and I did brand new research just to make sure the numbers were up to date. A church our size has an average number of full-time employees between 8 and 10. Some actually say 8 and 12. 8 and 10.
Pause for a second.
Yeah.
Just inform the people. I think it's sometimes difficult for our people to understand the scope and scale of our church because we're broken down into 3 services.
3 services.
We have to divide ourselves because we don't have a tool that accommodates
exactly right.
The church as a whole.
Yep.
We're broken down into small segments, which makes it potentially feel like, well, we're just a couple hundred people.
That's such a great point, Steve. So our average attendance on a weekend morning is over 700. The number of people that call Connections their home and that attend regularly is 1,000. It never feels that way in a particular service for the exact reason that you said.
Right.
We also have 110, 120 kids, and we have 50, 60 teens that meet in the evening. So when you look at our church, and this is how it's broken down in all of the studies, is like, okay, you've got your weekend attendance, that's 700, but you're serving well over 1,000 people, which is true for us. So for a church that runs what we do on the weekend and has the number of people that call Connections home, it is between 8 and 10 full-time staff members. We have 5. We have 5. Okay. Now, if you want to add together a part-time tech director, a part-time office administrator, and a part-time children's ministry assistant, if you put those together, you could equal one more full-time person. So let's say we have 6. We're still understaffed of what the average church is that's the size that we are and doing what we're doing. And if people is more important than property, a part of that people is having the people that can serve the congregation so that we can reach people, run the programs, we can fulfill our mission and vision in the lives of people and to reach more. So that's critical. Another thing that I think is going to be important for us to understand here is what I'm going to call, and I'm just going to do it this way. I want to talk for a minute about finances and me personally. I have never done this, ever. So I debated this, but I believe in the name of transparency to help people understand the financial components of this picture. This will be helpful. So if some of this sounds boastful, please forgive me. That is not what I meant. I feel uber awkward sharing what I'm about to share, but I do want to be transparent and I do want to address the questions. And there's some things that would be important to know. We don't share personal like what people get paid at Connections. Everybody can know what the whole salary bucket is. Not a problem. Super transparent on that one. But we don't distribute, this is what individual people make. However, it is common practice for the senior pastor for that to be different. Because people always wonder like, dude, are you like uber wealthy? What do you make? I mean, it's just a question that people have.
It's because there's been a lot of history around corruption
there has been,
in the church.
That is exactly right.
Church as a whole, not Connections, but
right.
the
and we see it all the time. And there's pastor so-and-so living in a multi-million-dollar mansion, driving what, and it's just like, right? Legit questions. All right. So I can say with utter confidence, I did not go into ministry, and never has ministry for me ever been about money, ever. Maybe even to a fault. Steve, I'm old school. I just admitted I'm turning 70 next month. I'm old school. I've pastored 3 churches. In accepting the pastorate for 3 churches, I have never asked for, requested, or demanded a salary. I never even asked. You know what my assumption always was? I'm just saying this is me. My assumption has been this: God, if I follow your will and take care of your business, I know you're going to look out after mine. I actually believe that with all my heart. And if God is directing me somewhere, then God is going to make sure I get taken care of. And I've always operated that way. I've never asked for a raise, ever. I have gone long periods of time. I mean, years and years and years with no raise for one reason, so that we could hire additional staff and do the work of God. I have cut my own salary so that I didn't have to lay off other staff members, because I feel an immense responsibility for everybody who takes the risk to join us on staff. I understand that what you're doing is placing your life, your future, and even your financial well-being in the hands of the church. And I cannot tell you how personally I take that for everybody who says, I want to join the team. Whenever the Board of Elders, and the Board of Elders sets my salary, I have nothing to do with it. Whenever they ask, like, how are you doing? My answer is, ask them. It's always been the same. I'm fine, man. God's meeting all my needs. And he has. Steve, one of the things that just so confirms God's call and blessing on my life is to look back at how God has met my needs at times I can't, it's like, how did that happen? There was a time in my life when I had a $100,000 medical bill that I owed. And I was making $35,000 a year. And that bill got paid off in a year. Wasn't me. It was God going, you look out after my business and I'll look out after yours. I have 5 children. Every one of my children, I have invested a substantial sum of money into helping them with their college or career choices they've moved on. And to the tune in well of excess of over $100,000, I'll just put it that way. And I did that during that time, without ever making more than $50,000 a year. How'd that happen? Because God has been so good. That's why I have utter confidence in God. Okay, so that's a little bit about my philosophy as I've looked at money and how it works. So, I know God will take care of me. We have principles that we operate by as a church that we are going to stick with. It's always going to be people, programs, then properties. And you know what? We will never extend ourselves beyond what we're capable of doing right now with margin. So, how are we going to handle a new person coming on? Again, I need to go into a little backstory about me. Back right just before COVID hit, actually. So a little more than 5 years ago, 6 years ago now. We were looking at expanding staff, and we were hit for the first time with a growing reality in church world. And that is, there's a shrinking pool of people to fill ministry positions. Side note, people are retiring from ministry at a far faster rate than people are training for it. And there is already a crisis in the number of people to assume pastor roles. In the year 2000, the average age of a lead pastor in an evangelical church in America was 50. Today, it's almost 60. They're getting older, retiring faster, and they're just not the people coming behind. And here's what we recognize. If we wanted to be able to attract quality people in a shrinking pool, we needed to up how we compensated people. And a part of that meant we need to offer some sort of retirement benefit. We had never offered a retirement benefit up until that point. So we said, this is something we need to do. So we put mechanisms in place to be able to do that, all that sort of thing for clergy to be able to make contributions to retirement funds. At that particular point in time, the Board of Elders, bless their hearts, they really do love me and support me, and I am so incredibly grateful for them. They have always tried their best to take good care of me and look out for me, and I'm very grateful for that. Very grateful for each one of them. They were like, man, we've never done anything in retirement for you in like 20 years. And I'm like, the old joke, going to ministry, the retirement benefits are out of this world. Ha, 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 right? And so here's what they decided to do. They decided at that point, we want to start making up for the shortfall. And they began to, my word, aggressively contribute to some sort of retirement plan for me, playing catch up. In fact, for the last several years, and this was by my request, I don't want or need an increase in salary. If you want to do anything, put it into a retirement. So this is what I get in compensation from the church. But again, let me put this in context, because church is such a unique animal, Steve.
Yep.
How do people understand the way it works in church? I don't expect anybody to. A lead pastor of a church our size has an average salary compensation package between $120,000 and $165,000 a year. That's according to Church Track. It's according to Reach Right. These are organizations that work with churches, and they studied these things to help churches plan and move forward and all this kind of stuff. My salary right now, this is the most it's ever been. My salary right now is $70,000 a year. With the church helping to make up for the past, it has grown over the last 5 years to the place where the church now this year will make an annual contribution. I chip in part as well, but a contribution of about $50,000 to my retirement. Here's the plan moving forward. And when I first said this to the board of elders, they didn't want to do it, but I'm pushy. I really felt a conviction in my heart that we needed to move forward in a way that when we needed to hire a new full-time person, which we're already understaffed, but we hired another full-time person, it had zero bottom line impact to our church. So what I'm doing is my salary is being released to become what we use to hire the next person. And a younger person with less experience, we're going to be able to find a good person, and we've got the funds to be able to give them a really nice compensation package. I'm going to live off of the money that they've been giving me for retirement. So I will become, that's just what I'm going to live on. We're in a place, Sandy and I, that we can do it. Our children are all grown. We've paid our house off. It's like we're going to be fine, financially speaking, in addition to the fact that God has always taken care of us. So consequently, when it comes time down the road somewhere in 2006, that we're going to actually make the transitions we're talking about and hire a person, it will impact the bottom line of Connections zero. And that's because of the planning and preparing that we have all have done for this moment. God has enabled both me personally and us as a church to be able to do it. So that's how the financial plan is pretty much going to look.
Yeah, that's a very important piece for our people to understand is, one, we don't make a financial decision that it's not based off projected numbers.
That's correct.
It's not based off of what we hope to bring in. It's what's happening right now. As your transition shifts, it's affecting our bottom line zero.
None.
But I want to address there's a little bit, there's kind of almost two parts to this question.
Yeah, okay.
Or there's maybe a misunderstanding of how they're impacted, because hiring another full-time staff member, or the staffing expenses and the funds for the building expansion, are two completely separate.
Two completely things. When we do a major move like this, and in the history of Connections Community Church, there have been 3 major moves. This is the third one we're in right now. One is we bought this 20 acres of prime real estate. 2, we built the first phase of the building. 3 is what we want to do next. And in each case, we have done that by asking people to contribute above and beyond their regular giving as God enables them and leads them to do so. You can't find anyone at Connections ever that will go, they have been pressured to give money at all, for that matter. You know what the most frequent giving offering question that we get at Connections? How do you give? Because we don't take an offering.
Right.
We have a box in the back. Most people give online. And so we mention almost every week, if you do want to give, here's how you can do it, because we get asked that question all the time. But pressure, we're not about trying to guilt people or pressure people into giving. We're about trying to teach and grow people to live for Jesus, follow Jesus. And as Jesus transformed our hearts, one of the things that happens, we become more generous. FYI, I tithe and give offerings above a tithe on what I receive from the church. I'm not exempt from anything. I never would ask a person to do what I don't do. I would never say, God wants you to do this, and then I don't do it. What a hypocrite. I could never do that. But God has blessed me for doing this, and I want to see everybody else blessed. So we just try to grow people, encourage people, share mission and vision worth giving for, and then let God work in their hearts. So our building endeavor, our Imagine More campaign, is all about people who have said, I'm going to choose to give above and beyond. Sacrificially, whatever I can do. Maybe I give a little bit every month. Maybe I give a chunk sum. Doesn't really matter. Whatever you want to do. But it's separate. So nothing is budgeted to build the next building. And when it comes to budgeted funds, we don't need to raise more money to have the budget to pay for a new staff member. Because of the moves I've outlined, it's already there. So the budget stays the same, and the building is separate because it's above and beyond.
Yeah. If you'd like more information about our building campaign, the Imagine More campaign that we're running right now, you can go to our website, my3c.org. Right there on the homepage, just scroll down a little bit. You're going to see, it'll say Imagine More. Click on that. You're going to get a lot more information on what's happening and how you can potentially contribute and be involved with that campaign.
I think, since we're on the subject, one of my prayers is that people will be able to get a vision in their heads for what will happen when we're able to construct this new facility. I believe, much like when we built this one, which we've now outgrown and used in every way we can think of, right? When we built this one, it was like, whew, because the tool enabled us to do more. The difference between rented facilities and having what we've got now is not as big as it will be between what we have right now and what we will have when we make the change. Yeah. And I really believe with all of my being, the most fruitful, world-changing days are ahead of us, and this tool is going to enable us to do things that's going to be hard for us right now to imagine.
Yeah. Yeah,
Hence, Imagine More.
I know. We're all excited for it. We're looking for it. And I don't want to spoil anything, but I believe we're getting an update this coming Sunday on where we are on that. A very positive.
A very positive update.
Very
That's
positive
correct.
Update. So for more about what's happening, come on Sunday. You come and be a part of that. All right, Dave, let's keep talking about, actually, let's just talk about your retirement, because you mentioned, you're turning 70 next month, and you're entering it that twilight,
that
age
twilight
of
Thanks,
your
Steve.
career, and there's some just real questions about it. So, there we go. There we go. No, hold on, here we go.
Okay, I told him I didn't do anything.
No, I think I'm clicked something accidentally. When do you plan on retiring? And I'm assuming that means completely throwing in the towel, hanging it up. And then, really, how long do you think this founding pastor thing is going to last?
That's so good. And I get, this founding pastor thing is like, what in the world is that?
I mean, because I'm assuming they kind of, it sounds made up. Like, who's ever heard of this? How long do you think this founding pastor thing? When are you actually leaving?
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe they're ready for you. Just throw it in.
Well, Steve, I like to base everything on the Bible as much as I possibly can. Moses led until he was 120. Joshua led until he was between 100 and 110. So I've got 30 to 50 years.
There you go.
There you go. So that answers your question.
We're going to wait till Dave's face is on that Schmucker's jar.
Oh, my goodness. Okay. All kidding aside, I have no plans on retiring. Not in the traditional sense of the word. To be fair, that would be the best way to say it. The traditional sense of retiring is, okay, your job was pastoring. Now you're not going to pastor anymore, and you're going to move to Florida, enjoy the sunset, do recreational activity, whatever the case may happen to be. I have zero interest in that. It's just me. And by the way, I'm only talking for me and nobody else. I have zero interest in that. I want desperately to contribute to the work of God's kingdom in general, but to the work of connection. Steve, I planted my heart here. I want to be able to contribute to God's kingdom in general and to Connections Community Church and these beautiful people here in this beautiful community, as long as God gives me the body and the mind to be able to contribute. I'm sure the day will come when I'm not going to be able to do this full time anymore. And then it'll be part-time. And you know what? I'm also not talking about, am I getting compensated? Because compensation is an irrelevancy. You can do ministry without being compensated. So I'm not even talking about, I'm hoping that I don't have to get compensated in short order so the church can be released from any financial obligation as I serve. That's my plan. My goal is to continue to be faithful in stewarding the gifts and resources God has given me until my final breath, whatever that may happen to be. And I don't know how long I'll live. I don't know what my health will be, but as long as I've got something, I want to be able to do it. It's interesting to note, Steve, that if you search retirement in the Bible, you won't find it. Now, let me hasten to say, that doesn't mean it's wrong. It's like the Bible never mentions retirement. If you do it, it's sin. Well, it's like, that's not understanding how to exegete the Bible properly. But what I do find is important this. There is no retirement from serving God. If you retire from your job, you retire from your job. That's awesome. But we're meant to contribute. And as Christians, we're meant to contribute to the cause of Christ, the work of the church, the Jesus movement in the world. And there's no retiring from serving Jesus. To all those out there that are of my generation and my age, there is no retiring from serving Jesus. In fact, I find this fascinating. The Bible places a premium on old people and the wisdom they have accrued and using it to serve the rising generations. You learn so much along the way, right? Who amongst us wouldn't go, if I could go back 50 years, but know what I know now, I'd do it. I wouldn't go back not knowing what I know now because I've learned so much, I could do so much better. To be able to invest that in people so that their growth curve is maybe shorter and they learn it quicker than we did, what a beautiful opportunity. The Bible teaches us in the pastoral epistles, Titus chapter 2, older ones mentor and help the younger ones. We never retire from serving Jesus, ever. We need to steward our gifts and our abilities to the best we can, however much we are actually able to contribute. I also find this interesting. as I look for parallels. The Levites, who were the priests of the Old Testament, if you were a descendant of one of the 12 sons of Jacob, of Israel, if you were of the tribe of Levi, you were a Levite, you were a priest. That's what you did. And here's what's interesting. You could serve as a priest until you were 50. Then you transitioned and you continued to serve, but you didn't have to do the heavy lifting. And there was literal heavy lifting involved in serving as a priest. Once you were physically and all likelihood incapable of doing it. And what I find instructive on is this. As if you're called into ministry, there's going to be a time where you're not going to have the capability of doing as much as you used to do. But that doesn't mean you exit. It means you transition into something you are capable of doing so you can continue to contribute for as long as it gives you life. So that's my plan. That's my plan. How long is the founding pastor thing going to last? I wish I could say that I knew for sure, but I don't. I don't see an end to it. It's like a role I'm going to serve in until I'm not able to serve anymore. Maybe it'll be like, he's founding pastor and he's the guy that's sitting in the back corner drooling. But we're hoping that in the drooling, he's offering up maybe that's what it'll be. I have no idea. But this is my next chapter. This is what I believe to be God's leading in my life for how to serve most effectively and impactfully as I move into this next chapter of my life. And I'm planning on doing it like every other chapter, all in until God decides otherwise.
Can you spell out for us very clearly some of the intended roles and functions that you will have as a founding pastor? Maybe there's a little confusion of what that term means, because that's a term that is not used.
Yeah, it's true. And in the message, I bullet pointed some things to give people an idea. So let me try to go ahead and rehearse that. Is like, number one, at least for now, it's still a full-time position at Connections. Number two, I'm still going to be teaching on Sunday morning, but it'll be a reduced capacity. I'll teach around 30-ish% of the time. All right, so I'll still be a regular voice, but I won't be the predominant voice.
What is the percentage, if you had to put a percentage on what you do right now, so they can kind of gauge on?
Yeah, right now I probably speak 75% of the time. And so in other words, what other people do is now what I will end up doing, right? So that's what that will be. Connections Bible Institute, I will continue to lead, oversee, develop, teach in. That's going to be a big part of what my responsibilities are going to be.
And I know we've talked a lot about that, you and I specifically.
Yeah.
There's some big plans that we have.
That's correct.
There's some ideas, things that just you were not capable of doing, holding the role of lead pastor.
Correct. And now there's the freedom to be able to do a lot more. And that's exactly what we plan on doing. I'm going to serve as like chaplain to the church staff. I don't lead the church staff, but you know what? Again, I've been around the block. Most problems people in ministry encounter, been there, done that, wrestled with it, failed in it, learned a little bit along the way. I want to be able to just come alongside to encourage, support, pray for, advise, all that kind of stuff. So it's almost kind of like a chaplain to the church staff sort of a thing. I'll still be in staff meetings. I'll still be contributing to all of our ideas. I think as we move through today's questions, hopefully people get a better idea of kind of how we actually function and work as a staff, because it's highly collaborative the way we do what we do. I'll still be a voice, in that one. And I plan on supporting, encouraging, and when appropriate and wanted, advising and helping the next lead pastor of Connections. It's a supporting role to help that individual be the very best they can be and be the most fruitful they can be in their leadership. And that's the essence of what I'll find myself doing. I'll be able to be much more entrepreneurial on a few things. As I can invest more of my time in developing stuff, I'll be able to mentor people with teaching gifts and leading gifts to help develop them for these things. That's kind of what my future will look like.
Yeah. Well, let's just be real straightforward and honest, Dave. Answer this question for us if you can. Are you being nudged out? Strong arm? Are you being someone forcing you out? Are you looking forward to just retiring? I think we've kind of addressed the retiring part.
Yeah.
And maybe we can rephrase this second question to like, are you looking forward to this new adjustment or a different role? Because I think we just talked about you're not retiring.
Yeah, correct.
But
so
it is shifting.
It
so
is
are you
shifting.
looking forward to it? So first off, are you being nudged out?
Am I being done? Yeah. By the Holy Spirit. I think we might have mentioned this previously in our conversation, but just to reiterate it, if I did, this has been a while coming.
Yeah.
And this started with one person, me, simply praying, God, what's next for me and what's next for Connections? I've always prayed that prayer. It's just now there's a different answer. And again, this was actually before COVID hit when I began going down this road. I began thinking in terms of what should the transition look like into a new lead pastor. It's gonna come sooner. It has to come sooner or later, because I won't live forever. But it has to come sooner or later. So I began praying, God, what is it that you want, and what would my role look like when that was happening? And that was 6 years ago. I began around that very time of doing two things. One, I began to investigate what other churches were doing in terms of pastoral succession, transitioning to a new lead pastor. Because the way it has traditionally been done in America is not very effective or efficient. So what are the learnings? What can I learn from other churches? The second thing that I did is I began to look into the scripture and go, God, how did leadership transition look in the scripture? And so I would look at like Moses to Joshua. I would look at Elijah to Elisha. I would look at the apostle Paul to Timothy. I mean, there you've got, Moses, kind of a one-of-a-kind person. Elijah, you've got a prophet. Paul, you've got an apostle, but also, a pastor, church planner, entrepreneurial heart. How did it go? And I began to try to catalog just principles and learnings that could help us in our own transition. My goal was this. I want a transition to the next point leader, because we have multiple leaders, but we have a point leader. I want the transition to the next point leader to be as seamless and smooth as possible. Transitions are always a little bumpy. I just want to minimize all the bumps that I can. So God, what is the right way of doing it?
Right.
After getting a sense of where to go and what God wanted for me and how the transition could work, I began talking with our board of elders about it. And we've been talking about it for in excess of 2 years, working through all the stuff and how it would work and all this sort of thing to be able to glean their understanding. We've talked about it. You and I have talked about it. We talked about it on staff. How can this sort of thing work? So the last thing this is somebody doing a power play trying to get rid of me.
Right.
That is not happening. I want to declare that the support I have from the leadership teams of Connections, first the staff, the one I work with most closely and daily with, the board of elders, I am so fortunate in the way that I'm supported. And people will speak the truth to me, but man, they love me and support me. And my goodness, I am so blessed in that. And that has continued to be the case. Yeah, the nudge is really from the Holy Spirit of God, and it's been taking place for 6+ years, and it's just now is the time.
Yep. Yeah, and I kind of want to let's jump to this last question because I just kind of want to put a bow on all of this, because I think we've already addressed this question, but I'll propose a question and then give you one final opportunity to just kind of help answer any lingering thing that you think might still be out there.
All right.
Because the question is your new role really all that different? Which we've talked about.
We've talked about. That's exactly right.
But we'll ask it, but then I'll be like, what else can you say to the people who are watching that might help just help them understand everything that you're trying to say clearly.
That's good. I appreciate that. There were two ditches we wanted to make sure we avoid as we explained our way through the process. And remember, we've just started. Ditch number one is nothing's really changing, because that's untrue. The other one is Dave's leaving and everything's going to be different, because that's not true either. So I've kind of laid out what I am going to be doing. So, is it going to be different? Here's the things going to be different. Obviously, my teaching load is going to be different. I will not be the primary Sunday morning communicator at Connections. Dave says with a heavy heart.
You've been carrying that burden for so long here at Connections, but we've also acknowledged here in this space too, there's some health things that have come up with your voice.
With my voice, yeah, exactly.
That has put an extra burden on that.
It has.
Does it play a factor? Somewhat.
It does. It does play a factor.
But it will also make your voice stronger. It will help you out physically.
Last longer, absolutely, Steve. Yeah. There's no doubt about it. And there's a sense in which, again, nothing I was intending to reveal, but you asked. There's a sense in which all my vocal issues are like, I've just started looking at it as like my thorn in the flesh. It's like, I think like the Apostle Paul, in the sense that I'm going, God, I could do a better job if you would just heal me of this. And God goes, well, God graciously took the growth away, so I don't have surgery and risk never being able to talk again, but it's just an ongoing issue that I have to work with and steward very carefully. And what that does is that it now forces me to just be more dependent upon God and God's power in my life to make up for it, for a lack, a weakness that I have. It's also helped me to lean into other people better, and that's a good thing. It's not a natural thing for me, but it's a good thing because it's like I know conceptually, but it's forced me to lead into other people more as well. So it's all good. It's all good. Everything God allows is always going to be for good. But this will definitely help in that regard.
Yeah, and just that, what you just said, just this idea of leaning into more people and trusting more people and equipping and releasing, like this is all part of what we do.
Yep.
This is the role of the pastor.
That's right.
Is we carry the banner for as long as we can, and we train up people to carry it after us.
That's exactly right. And I'm looking forward to that very much, to be able to do that. I am one of the differences will be, I'm not leading the church staff. I'm a part of the church staff, but I'm not leading the church staff. I'm not going to be coming up with the meetings. I'm not going to be leading the meetings. Nobody on church staff is going to answer to me. They're going to answer to the new lead pastor. That's the way we're structured as a church. So I won't be doing that. It's like a big part of the difference is going to be this. I'm going to be moving from deciding to influencing. Here's what I think might be helpful for everyone to understand about me and the way we operate as a church. And Steve, you could be the first person to go, that's not right if this isn't true, because
I'll let you know.
Yeah, okay, that's all right. We make decisions as a team. I don't walk into a meeting and go, okay, everybody, this is what we're doing. I actually think that's crappy leadership.
Yeah.
That's That kind of leadership should only be employed when there is a true, utter crisis and a choice has to be made this minute or everything could fail. With that uber rare exception, that kind of leadership is not good leadership. So whether it be the board of elders, certainly on staff, we'll get together, and whether it be like events we're planning, services we're planning, strategic initiatives that we are developing or even deciding on, it's lay things on the table and let's discuss it. Let's see if we can develop a consensus, which we are pretty good at doing. Everybody has a voice. Everybody gives a perspective. Certain things rise to the top. This is the direction it appears like we should go. And the only thing I do in that situation and go is voice what everybody around the table already knows. So we're going to do this then, right? And everybody goes, yep, that's what we're going to do. And then off we go. So my role there is at the end of the collaboration, just to put that little bow of going, this is what we're doing. That's all that it is. I am no longer going to be the one to put a bow on it and to go, okay, this is what we're doing. And the reason somebody needs to put a bow on it is because ultimately speaking, somebody needs to own the decision. And as a lead pastor, I own the decision because I could nix it if I wanted to. So I own the decision and I take responsibility for that. Technically, our staff is so amazing. We all take ownership for everything. We take this job personally, but I won't be the one doing that anymore. I'll be the one that has the voice on the table and somebody else is going to put a bow on it. In teaching team meetings, we talk about the teaching calendar and what series should we do. I'm the one that puts a bow on those. We talk about it. These things rise to the top. I go, okay, let's do this during that month. I won't be putting the bow. I'll be the one having influence, but somebody else puts the bow and actually makes a decision on that one. So that will be a definite difference in what I do. I'm going to be doing what is largely a support role. I'm going to be like another staff member. I've got areas I primarily oversee, and I'm going to do them. And I'm going to have the freedom to be entrepreneurial in moving them forward. But that makes me like everybody else that's on staff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Welcome to our side, right?
Good. I'm looking forward to those meetings without the lead pastor there that I hear you guys do.
Yep. Well, when the cat is gone, right? Good. Dave, is there anything else that you want to clarify or touch base on with any of these revelations that you revealed on Sunday, or any of the questions that came up? Is there anything else that you feel like it would be appropriate for people to hear from you right now because we left them on another cliffhanger?
We did.
So I know there's a lot more questions out there, and there's a lot more that we need to talk about, which we will next week.
Right.
So tune in again next week, same time. We'll be talking about the plan.
The plan. That's right.
But anything about you, your function, your role, the future, is there anything else you just want to clarify for anybody?
For the most part, I think we've touched on it. So let me just simply reiterate something that I mentioned Sunday, and I believe I mentioned today as well. I am completely convinced that everything that is happening now is under the leadership of the Holy Spirit, who is the orchestrator of the Jesus movement on earth. People come, people go, kingdom rolls on from earthly perspective, right? And I recognize that if Jesus tarries his return, eventually I am going to die. And the kingdom of God will keep right on moving because we have the beautiful privilege of serving and contributing to something greater than ourselves. And eventually we won't be a part and others will. So how well did we contribute? And how well did we prepare the next contributors to be successful with what they did? All of this is happening under the leadership of the Holy Spirit. I, am genuinely excited about the contribution I'm going to be able to make. I believe I'm going to be able to make a deeper, more lasting contribution in this next chapter than anything I've done up to this one. 2, I believe with all of my being that as a result of this translation, our church will become more powerful, more unified, more equipped, and more capable of advancing the cause of Christ in our community and around our world. I believe that in this next chapter of our church, in part because of this transition, we will see God do more through us than we have ever seen before. Because when God makes a move, it is only and always to the good of human beings, as well as to the glory of his name and to advance his purposes in the world. And this one is just like that.
Yeah. Well, it's an exciting time for us here at Connections because there's so many moving pieces that are happening. There's so much on the precipice of what's coming up, and we are looking forward to seeing how God works through all of it, including in your ministry, in your life, in your non-retirement. We are thrilled that you guys joined us. Thank you so much for sitting down with us on this Thursday evening and listening to us talk about what God is doing here in the life of Dave and the life of the church and what we have moving forward. If you have more questions for us, please submit your questions. You can go to my3c.org, click on Ask a Question. Go ahead, fill in your question, and we're going to try to get to as many of those as we can. That's our goal. And so we try to come to you every single week, sit in these chairs, talk about what's happening. We did leave you on a cliffhanger this past Sunday on what the plan is. We wanted to just isolate this announcement, this move, this decision. And we just needed people to kind of sit with it for a little bit, think about it. Hopefully these questions have helped reassure you, helped answer some of the questions that you have. But we know that there's something moving forward, and we're going to be talking about it on this Sunday. So we encourage you to come and be a part of that. We're having 3 services this coming Sunday, as we do every Sunday, at 8:20, 9:40, and 11 o'clock. We do live stream our 9:40 service. That live stream starts at 9:25 with our pre-show, where we're going to talk about everything that's happening right here at Connections, all the events and plans that you can get involved with. And then we're going to finish up the service right back in these chairs as we talk about the service and discuss everything that just happened. So we encourage you either join us in person to one of our services or join us online right here. And you can follow us on YouTube or Facebook. In fact, that does help. It helps if you subscribe and if you follow us, if you like the videos. I know you hear that all the time online, subscribe and like and share the videos and whatever. It does help because the more we can get this pushed out, the more people can be impacted and the more people can hear the truth that is happening right here at Connections as we open the Word of God and as we speak that truth into the world. Dave, thank you for sitting down with me. Thank you for answering all these questions and being as transparent, as open about what God is doing in your life as possible. We really, really appreciate everything that you do for us here at Connections, and we look forward to seeing where God is going to be leading you.
Agree with you on that one.
All right. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you guys again next time. Remember that here at Connections, we do love you, but more importantly, Jesus loves you. And we'll see you next time.